Hello everybody, I'm Tony Craig, this is F1 Grandstand, and we have some breaking Formula 1 news. Williams will miss the test at Barcelona next week. They'll be the only Formula 1 team that will not be travelling to Barcelona to test their car. Well, if you're an F1 fan, of course, you're in the right place. Do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Smash a like on the video if you enjoy it. And also, just behind that subscribe button, make sure you've got the bell all icon ticked so you can choose which content that you interact with and engage with. So, yeah, big story today, this. And if you saw my earlier show earlier this week on the 20th of January, where I said Williams are in trouble. Some people thought it was clickbait. I mean, absolutely not. Our sources were good. We knew Williams were in trouble. We knew there was a chance that Williams would not be making it to Barcelona. Now, in that report, and you should go and watch it, it's called Williams in Trouble. It gives you an insight as to what may be the problem, because today Williams have issued a statement about an official statement. Now, they do not tell us what is wrong, okay? They do not, but they do make it clear that it wasn't the powertrain. So we're going to come to that official statement, or part of it now anyway. So this is the official statement. Atlassian Williams F1 team has taken the decision not to participate in next week's shakedown test in Barcelona following delays in the FW48 program as we continue to push for maximum car performance. The team will instead conduct a series of tests, including a VTT program next week with the 2026 car, to prepare for the first official test in Bahrain and the first race of the season in Melbourne. We are looking forward to getting on track in the coming weeks. I want to thank all our fans for your continued support. There's a lot to look forward to together in 2026. Now, there was another bit in the statement that's not on screen right now, but basically saying the problem is not due to the powertrain, but they do not tell us what the problem is. Now, again, I refer you to my earlier video this week, Williams in Trouble. We talk about what we believe, the reports that were coming out from Ralph Back of what the problems are at Williams, and we believe it to be a chassis problem. They allude to something to do with the weight, and I don't know if it's how the chassis, the weight distribution. They basically got the chassis wrong. That's our understanding. Now, here's the thing, right? Williams were one of the early adopters of the 26 car development program. We believe they started developing the 26 car very early in the 25 season, just like Alpine did. So we would expect Williams to be ahead of the curve, actually, in the development of that car. When we see teams like Cadillac managing to shake their car down, Alpine have done a shakedown. Ferrari are out on track today. Mercedes have done a 200-kilometer shakedown, the only team to achieve a 200-kilometer run. It shows just how far behind the curve Williams actually are to not make it to Barcelona. And we know it's a new regulation cycle. It's absolutely vital. Time on track. And when Williams are saying that next week, well, everyone else is getting time on track, they're going to be doing virtual testing. It just isn't good enough, because every team has said they've encountered the same problem with their sims and virtual testing how do they calibrate that simulator effectively without having time on track, right? It's best guess. So until you get the car on track to really sort of calibrate how these sims are operating, the benefit of the sim is reduced. So this is an absolute hammer blow after the season they've just had in 25. Because the thing I find interesting about Williams, especially their 25 season, is they progressed nicely. They finished P5 in the Constructors. We saw Carlos Sainz start the season off pretty slowly. Alexander Albon scoring all the points. He scored 70 points to Carlos Sainz's 16 points in the first half of the season. And then we see this revival in Sainz where he really outshone Albon in the second half of the season. Now, we know it wasn't because of fantastic upgrades over at Williams, because they were focusing on the 26 car. It came down to, I'd say, two things. It came down to Carlos Sainz getting to grips with the car, improving his feedback loop between him and the engineers, and then the setup of the car got stronger and stronger. And then we saw Sainz achieve 2 podiums, which was fantastic. And qualifying P2 in Baku. Now, all of that brilliant progression within the Williams team, that positivity that all that brings. Unfortunately, when you get a setback like this, when you know the team have probably had more time on the development of the 26 car than other teams, like I'm thinking Red Bull here. Red Bull said, no, we're going to develop the 25 car. We're still focusing on that because Max has got a chance of winning the World Driver Championship. And we saw the progression Red Bull were making, but was that to the detriment of the 26 car? Well, possibly, but are they going to be in Barcelona? Yeah, of course they are. Williams are the only team that are not going to make it there. And I think when we look back at history, Williams in 2019 had a similar issue. They got to Barcelona, but I think they missed 2 or 3 days of the testing. That season didn't work out too great for Williams. So it shows us they are very much behind the curve. Can they catch up is the question. I think Williams would hope they can. But if you're, Carlos Sainz or you're Alexander Albon, you're going to be pretty nervous about this. Like I said, we've seen Alpine on track, we've seen Mercedes on track, we've seen Cadillac on track, Audi on track, doing all their shakedowns. And again, going back to Mercedes, the reason why it was so important for Williams to put in their statement today that it had nothing to do with the powertrain is because Mercedes, one, have other customer teams, and two, they've also proven the point that their powertrain is looking pretty damn reliable. They're the only team to complete a 200-kilometer test. So if you're wondering who the hell is in pole position for 26 as of today, I think we have to say Mercedes are winning on all fronts. They've won the battle of the engine loophole where the FIA are allowing it, and they always allowed it. They even have documentation to say that the FIA signed off on their engine design. So yeah, Mercedes, Toto Wolff should have the biggest smile on his face out of anybody. And unfortunately, the biggest sort of frown and upset is gonna firmly lie with Williams. And if you're a Williams fan, go and have a look at the earlier video from this week, Williams in Trouble. It might give you more of an indication of what we think's going on. We think it's the chassis, but we want to hear from you. Tell us what you think in the comments below. I will get back to you. And don't forget, live stream tonight at 7:30 GMT, where we will be reacting to the Ferrari livery launch, the Alpine livery launch, and any other of today's news topics. And hopefully I will see you all then. Ta-ta.